Welcome to Charters Talk 4630. I'm your host, Stacey Mallory, and if this is your first time here, I welcome you and ask that you follow this podcast by pressing on the subscribe button. It is not a paid subscription. It is free. This way, you'll be notified whenever this podcast goes on live or release the latest content. You can also follow and listen to us while on the road, at work, or even on your lunch break on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, Pandora, Deezer, and TuneIn Radio. You can also check out some hot topics involving the Chargers on stormcloud.blog, which is run by our own Kyle D. Now, usually when I start this podcast, I always start off by introducing my co-host and friend, Garrett Elsasser. But Garrett is not with us today, but I can tell you Garrett is fine. I started doing this podcast a little over a year ago by myself. But in March of this year, I met Garrett on X, and he was actively chatting and telling others about this podcast before I knew him personally. I reached out to him, and we talked for like 2 hours about football and about life. So I asked Garrett, would he like to come on and do the podcast with me as a co-host? And obviously he was excited to give it a shot. So he said yes. We talked a lot weekly about what we wanted to discuss and worked hard at trying to give people good content on a weekly basis. The journey didn't come without its challenges for us both. Garrett, as you know, was on deployment with the military, and we thank him for his service to this country. I'm on the East Coast in New Jersey. Cal, who joined us a few months later, is on the West Coast in California. And Garrett is somewhere, I believe, in Southern Europe. So when I record the podcast, it's 8 a.m. here in New Jersey. Where Kyle is, it's 3 hours. He's behind me at his home in California. So it's 5 a.m. when he's on recording with us. And where Garrett is stationed is 2 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. So as you can see, it's extremely challenging to accomplish what we were trying to do. We were recording a podcast at the same time, but from 3 different locations and 3 different time zones. So imagine the challenges we had sometimes weekly just trying to work together with this. Sometimes there was confusion with scheduling, and we just couldn't record the podcast because things happened, whether it was on my end or Kyle wasn't available, or sometimes unexpectedly, Garrett's schedule would change. Obviously, the podcast had to be rescheduled when these unfortunate incidents occurred. I don't want that to happen anymore. Our record days would be to preview Sunday's game on Fridays, recap the game on Mondays, and anytime there's breaking news in between, we could jump on and address that at the appropriate time. Nobody is at fault here. Nobody is to blame. Things happen. But in order to push out content consistently where we know the day and the time, things should be much more easier to manage. You come together and you try to make something work, and whether it works or not, as long as you give it your best, that's all that matters. Look, here's what's real. Did we sometimes have disagreements? Absolutely. Anyone that has friendships, relationships, marriages, or is in business together, whether it be with family or not, know that you're not going to always be on the same page with things, but you do your best to work through them, and we did. Here's something else that's real. Despite the challenges we had, me and Garrett will always be friends, and I love that guy. And his commitment to the podcast is commendable and deeply appreciated. And I thank him very much for everything he's done and other sacrifices he made with this podcast. In closing, Garrett supported this podcast before I met him and assured me he will continue to support us as we will support him. We both decided this was the best resolution to this issue, and he thanked me for giving him an opportunity to share his insights and his love for his team. And when he gets back from deployment, he's always welcome to come on here on Chargers Talk 4630 to hang out with us and just talk some Chargers football. Garrett, we thank you again. Stay safe. We talk with you soon. Now that we got that out the way, I'm going to turn my attention to Cal D, who's live in seeing the popular and still growing stormcloud.blog. Kyle, it's me and you today. How's it going?
I'm doing great, Stacey. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. No complaints at all. No complaints at all.
People were probably, looking at our cameras as we record these and wondering, hey, man, it's light where Stacey's at. Kyle's looking like he's, in the middle of the night. And yeah, you're right. Yeah. Here we are. But just so everybody knows, we're still going to probably be recording on similar timelines because the only way I could get up to do these pods and everything like that is, waking up before baby girl wakes up. Otherwise, I'm on dad duty, baby. That ain't easy. If we're doing breaking news, it's going to have to be, breaking news. And then when baby girl goes down for her next nap break before I can get on a camera. But hey, it's all right. We're here and very excited, man. Very excited.
Yeah, man. It's tough to do this thing here. We do it because we love talking Chargers football and sharing our thoughts and our comments and whatnot with the people that support us. But being in different time zones, man, I thank you, man, for getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. With Garrett, it was 2 in the afternoon. With me, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's crazy, but we are recording it from three different time zones, and sometimes things can get confusing. But here we are. We worked through it, and here we are. So Cal, the Chargers' second preseason game came with no touchdown passes again for the second week in a row. I think the bar is a little too low for Easton Stick. He goes 8 of 13 for 85 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, a critical fumble from the snap on the 1-yard line after wiping out a very good-looking drive. He overthrew receivers in the open field, and some say, well, it's better than last week's game. Well, we could clearly see if Justin Herbert misses some time early in the season or go down during the season, there's an issue at backup. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise for it to happen early so that we can find a capable quarterback. And as you know, last season, 66 different quarterbacks started games. So having an important backup is so important, especially if you're going to be a team in contention. What do you think about Easton Stick, again, failing to get in the end zone?
I think it's easy for Charger fans to forget how important a good backup quarterback is, because the last time we had a backup quarterback start multiple games before Easton Stick started games in 2023 was Doug Flutie. We had a long Ironman stretch with Phillip Rivers that kind of bridged Drew Brees being very healthy and available for us when he was first on the team, and Justin Herbert since then. And unless you want to argue that Herbert was, Tyrod's backup and ended up starting the whole season, I don't agree with that mindset, but really a true backup would have been Doug Flutie.
Right.
And I like going after that kind of mold of backup quarterback, somebody with starting experience that the moment's not going to be too big for him.
Yeah.
Easton has shown us, I think, maybe not where his ceiling is yet, but we're getting a pretty good idea with him playing in Greg Roman's quarterback-friendly scheme for a guy that's mobile, and it's not good, Stacy. So there's this thing in hockey that a lot of people don't know about, but in hockey, the position of goalie is so important and unique. And injuries can happen, and they have a main roster, they have their minor league roster. If your goalie goes down, and they play multiple games a week, unlike football. So if your goalie goes down, or you have a goalie that's getting sick or something like that, and you don't have enough time to bring in your minor league goalie to your NHL team, they have what's called an emergency goalie list. All the teams have it. It's a list of guys wherever they go that they can call last minute to be like, hey, we're down a guy. We need you to bring your pads and suit up. And it's normally like these beer league amateurs that can just be plugged and played. That is what Easton Stick looks like to me right now. He looks like a guy that's, if you and I were playing flag football together, Stacy, and you were sitting there throwing dimes and I was your receiver, and all of a sudden they call you and go, hey, Stacy, something happened to Justin. We need you to lace up and get out here and play for us. And you try to do the best you can to elevate your game.
Yeah.
That's what Stick looks like to me. He looks like a guy that's not ready for the league, hasn't, developed himself to that point, and is playing at a level that's so below replacement for a backup that it is impacting everybody on the offense in both these preseason games. And from what it sounds like and what we're hearing in practice as well. So I really hope we can figure that out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they're talking a lot, man, in practice. He's throwing pick after pick after pick. And I know a lot of people say, hey, man, you guys shouldn't overreact. It's just preseason. But preseason is the time to evaluate the kind of talent you got. And a lot of these guys that's on that field, they're playing because they're trying to, there's very few positions available, and they're working hard trying to get them. So I know it's preseason, but how you play out there, it matters. It'll determine whether you on this roster or not. Kyle, it's not all that bad. Some good things I took away from it. Jared Patterson, Elijah Dotson, they ran the ball pretty good. They look promising, but Spiller looks a little slow, man, and really not made an impact. And I don't know if Spiller's going to make this team. Kamani Vidal is killing it. Quentin Johnston, though, he looked much improved from last year. He made 2 outstanding catches, although he was pushed out of bounds on that second one, but he used his hands both times. They were tough catches, and we usually would see him struggle catching balls that way. He looks better already, with more playing, like he's playing with more confidence than he did last year. Jalen Gill still making his case why he should be on this roster. He's consistently getting great field position on kickoffs. Even Simi Fahoku had a couple of clutch catches. So there are some positives that you can see in this second game where the offense was somewhat better, but even though they were once again kept out of the end zone for the second straight week, I got a feeling that Easton Stick is probably going to play that last preseason game. And this is his last opportunity. I don't know, man. I kind of like lost confidence. I thought, okay, that was the first game. I think he'll be better. He was a little bit better. If you want to say 39 yards passing the first game and a half with no first downs, as opposed to 85 yards passing the second game with a pick and a key fumble. If you want to say that was better, that's why I said the bar is very low. He don't look the part, and I'm kind of worried about that and know that Ortiz and them probably is going to go out there to find a capable backup in case we need it.
Yeah, Stacy, I think the fact that they haven't signed a quarterback or traded for somebody with actual starting experience to me is like the injury report came out on Friday or on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, and it says Justin Herbert's playing on Sunday. I cannot see a situation where Herbert's current injury is going to keep him out of week 1, because there's no way they wouldn't be scrambling to bring somebody in right now. You know, Stick is playing for a backup spot. They're fully evaluating him right now, but it appears there's not an urgency to try to backfill for an injured Justin Herbert, and the team is okay with saying we'll find our backup if it's not Stick on the waiver wire, post cuts. You know, we'll find somebody, some fruit is gonna break off the branch when this tree gets shaken. And I think you and I talked about this before. I've got to think it's going to be Tyler Huntley after cuts. They've got too many quarterbacks on that team. So let's see. But I would feel very good if that is the decision-making process. We might see Stick stay on when we announce the 53. That's an important detail too, because we're all going to want to panic if we see, oh, they did cuts and Easton's not there. Well, when we sign somebody from the waivers from somebody else's team that was a cut casualty, they got to have somebody that we cut in exchange for them. So what we might see is sticks around for the final 53, and then once we've identified what quarterback we'd like to onboard, that's when we'll probably see a swap, like for like.
I like Easton Stick, man. It's just that, you know, you're in a production-based business, and if you don't produce, and lately he hasn't. I really like your assessment. If they were that worried about Justin not being able to go, I think they would have already reached out to a Tannehill to bring in. And the fact that they haven't, it lets you know that they're comfortable moving forward with Justin Herbert coming out week 1, and they'll solve that issue with the backup later. Before we go any further, we had 3 new subscribers, and I want to mention their names. Joel Shields, SV, I want to make sure I say this right, Andrazi Adorado. I hope I said it right. I apologize if I didn't, but I thank y'all for subscribing this past week. When I look at one of the things I was so disappointed, Easton Stick, and then I'm moving past that, is he don't have to do a lot. Look at this picture here. Just look at this, man. Look how beautiful that picture is. You got look at the 2 gaps that he have to run through Vidal. And 79 and 76 got 2 men here, 2 men here in the center, 2 men here with the tight end on the left. It's so easy for Easton Stick to fit in because he don't have to do a lot. You couldn't draw that picture up prettier than it was. And I mean, I really love what Greg Roman is doing, and those were the backups. And I know some people was on social media this week saying they seen Malik Nabers make some acrobatic catches. Oh, the Chargers messed up. They should have got him. Let me just say this. 2 preseason games. with Joe Alt. And both teams they played against played their starters for the first 3 series, but Alt played the entire first half. First game, 17 snaps, not one pressure. The second game, 29 snaps, one pressure. This is exactly what we needed. So Neighbors can be great for the Giants, but we know that Alt is going to be huge, just like Rashawn Slater is huge for us at the left side. We got another stud on the right side, and we need that. So I'm happy with this scheme with Greg Roman and all them guys. And I can't wait till Justin starts week 1 because we can't really get to see these other guys flourish without, having the quarterback making some plays. I think they're going to be good.
I don't need Neighbors, man. I got Ladd McConkey. I really think that once Herbert's there delivering some dimes, Ladd's going to be – he's going to be a breath of fresh air. I don't think the last time we'll have had a receiver that is as productive as him is probably going to be Keenan, Keenan Allen. I don't see him even being surpassed by Mike Williams' career here. I really think Ladd's going to come in. That's a very high bar to set, but even Mike, we were always kind of in love with what could be with him because staying healthy was such an issue. He flashed and had some amazing games, but in terms of a body of work over a career, I really think Ladd is going to step in there and excel and kind of surpass what we saw. So I'm very excited for that. And I believe in the guy. So fingers crossed, man.
Absolutely. The Chargers waive cornerback Chris Wilcox, quarterback Casey Ballman, wide receiver Praise Olatoke, and fullback tight end Ben Mason. And I believe that's making way for Jordan McFadden, who's offensive lineman tight end, to be in there and play some fullback. They re-signed outside linebacker Savion Jackson, signed linebacker Shaq Quarterman, who made some good tackles the other night, Frank Jenda, and they also signed wide receiver Isaiah Wooden. Anything you want to add to that busy week of transactions by Joe Ortiz? A lot of people's asked me about Frank Jenda, and the only thing that I know about Frank Jenda is that he played for the Falcons along with maybe 6 other teams since 2019, but didn't stick around long. But he's very good on special teams, but haven't made an impact as a linebacker in the league.
Yeah, and they also signed Tucker Fisk as well, tight end Tucker Fisk. And he's interesting because he seems to be more of a Mason replacement as he plays tight end, is more of a run blocker, but also can play fullback.
Right.
I feel like I'm kind of attracted to the shiny things in this situation. Isaiah Wooden, his speed, his explosion, the dude's build, like he's almost like, you don't want to just right away liken him to like a Tyreek Hill, but the thing about Tyreek is like when he's fast, he's smaller in size, but he's not, lacking strength. The dude is yoked. He's a strong man. Like that's partly why, like he can not like necessarily bowl people over, but he can run through an arm tackle and keep himself moving because he is strong, man. Look at Isaiah Wooden. I'm like, okay, you see some similarities there. He's compact. He's very well built. Looks strong, and the dude set the record for the 10-yard split at the combine. So might they catch lightning in a bottle there? That'd be very exciting. But that's the guy I've got my eye on. It seems like similarly to the Easton Stick situation, going and targeting Fisk probably means that Hayden Hurst is going to be okay and all that jazz because people were scared about that.
Right.
So Hayden should be ready to go, even though Stick sacrificed him to the football gods week 1. But those are the main takeaways I have. What about you, Stacey? Anyone in particular you're excited to see?
I was going to bring the same guy up, Isaiah Wooden. He looks like a football player. He looked like he spends a lot of time in the gym with Ben Herbert. But he reminds me, when I look at him in uniform, he looks like a Tyron Johnson. Remember when Tyron Johnson came in and Justin Herbert was a rookie? He was throwing these bombs. This guy was just splitting the safeties up top, running these posts. I mean, he looks like that kind of a player. I don't know if he's going to make the team or not. It's hard to evaluate some of these guys when the play is so sluggish from the quarterback. I want to see what Brendan Rice could do. I want to see Brendan Rice split safeties or run a play up top and catch a ball in the corner end zone. But we haven't, because of the bad play of quarterback, we haven't been seeing these guys. So, but I like Wooden, and I would like to see him more. I want to see what he could do in game action, but maybe we'll see that this weekend. Well, I think the game is Friday when they go play the Cowboys. I want to see this guy. This is the last shot at some of these guys to be able to make the team.
Wooden seems like a guy that could fill that role. Same with Johnson. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think so. Well, look, the final preseason game is coming up this week against the Cowboys. It's the final rehearsal for like a lot of these young guys. What are you hoping to see, and who do you think needs to make an impact if they want to make this team?
The Patterson and Vidal argument is going to be interesting. The battle there is going to be one of my favorite ones. I am very biased. I have drafted Vidal in one of my fantasy leagues. I think the guy just looks like a stud to me. But I like you've been pointing out from the beginning, Stacey, that it seems like they really see something in Patterson that they really like, and I can't argue with that. Like they do seem to really like that guy.
Yeah.
Can Finley step up and continue to show that he's going to be the third safety? That's going to interest me. You've made a very good point in bringing up Jordan McFadden as being as potentially taking over in that fullback spot. I'm very intrigued by is that going to be how it plays out on as far as the final 53 goes? Are they going to designate him in a sense as a fullback? Because we typically carry 9 offensive linemen. So are we going to carry 10 with McFadden being a fullback more so? Or are we going to have 9 with him having that weird flex spot? I don't know, man. So that's, and I what I probably want to see the most is Bozeman be healthy and show us that he's ready to go to start the season. That's probably.
I think they're gonna keep him in as an offensive lineman too, and use him as a fullback. Because having McFadden back there, even if he's as a fullback, it's almost like having an extra offensive lineman in there, and because of his size, So I think he makes the team, and I think that they got some schemes drawn up for him. Even getting on the goal line and surprise people with people who don't know, is McFadden going to get the ball, or is he into just the block, or is he going to go out in the flat and catch a ball in the end zone? I think you're going to see they have a lot of different things they can play around with McFadden in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as the running backs, I do like what I see with Jared Patterson. He's tough. He runs hard. He don't want to go down, but Vidal is explosive though. Like, he's not, in my opinion. What I see from Vidal, big time playmaker, man. A bigger, stronger Darren Sproles with speed. He had a good game. I think he had 52 or 59 yards rushing the other night, and he looked good. So I'm going to tell you somebody else who I like that didn't get no play last year, and he looked good again this year. I think the battle really not going to come down to Vidal and Jared Patterson. I think it's going to come down to Jared Patterson and Elijah Dotson. I think Vidal is going to make this team. But Elijah Dotson is still making his case too. Remember last year in them 4 preseason games, he was beasting, running over people, scoring touchdowns, but they wouldn't let him play in the regular season. Still, he didn't give him no runs at all. He was inactive every week. And he's playing, that whole running back room is very competitive. I think the odd one out is Spiller, and it might be Jared Patterson too. But I'm okay with that because this is what Harbaugh wanted. He wanted to create competition at every position so no one can be comfortable and think that they are locked, like Donald Parham. Look at all these tight ends you're bringing in. No, this is not a lock. Parham, you have to step your game up or you could be on the way out. I mean, yeah, with his size, he's a good red zone threat. And at times, he's had moments where you really like what he can do. But then, he had those other moments where for some reason he falls very awkwardly. He gets a lot of concussions and kind of fragile for a big guy. When he gets hit, he gets dinged up a lot. So he's not comfortable. No one, wide receiver, tight end, running back, offensive lineman. He created this competition at every position where no one really knows. Hey, you can be really good. The guy behind you can beat you out. I always say this. It doesn't matter if you got a big name around the league or not. With those guys that Harbaugh and the teams that he has built over his career, he has clearly shown that hard work will beat talent when talent don't work hard. It happens all the time. So you could be the most talented, but the guy behind you, when you see him running, when somebody miss a block and he take off and running from behind and run you down, and he a 300-pound lineman, when they see you never giving up and fighting to the end of the whistle, and you see Harbaugh and them on the side dotting things down, they're noticing that.
Mm-hmm.
They're noticing that extra effort that you give.
Like you were pointing out, the run blocking, like there's so much to still be excited for that can get lost in how disappointed we are in sticks play and kind of slowing things down. But man, I cannot wait to see what we see in that run blocking play out in the regular season. I want to see Gus, turn into the bus. I want to see Vidal.
Oh, absolutely.
I really want to see Vidal. Like you were saying, he's explosive, and the way he runs through contact, man, he's another guy. He's strong. He's so balanced that he looks the part. He looks like he's ready.
Yes.
So there's so much to be excited about. I'm really fired up.
It is. So am I. And can't wait to see smiling Dobbins, KJ Dobbins. He's like, this guy's always smile, but he said, listen, don't let this smile fool you, because when game day, I turn into a whole different animal, and I can't wait. He looks healthy. He looks fresh. He looks like he just can't wait to go, and I can't wait to get this season going, man. I'm looking at these backups, and I think the defense, man, is doing such a great job with just the backups. Imagine when you get all the guys out there with Durbin and Dupree and Tui Tulopu and Bosa and Denzel Perryman. Alohi Gilman looked like he coming to his own. You got Christian Fulton playing lights out like he's giving us what we wanted from J.C. Jackson. Asante Samuel seems excited and is playing better. Jasiah Taylor is playing good in the slot. Imagine when Khalil Mack and them guys get involved. Jesse Minter got these guys going.
Oh, yeah. It's great to see that we're doing great on defense right now in the preseason, or that there's flashes. But it's going to be a whole different beast when you have elite edge play. Everything that our roster on defense is built around having just studs at the edge position and being able to rotate them around, plug Bosa in on the inside. And we haven't seen that yet. So that'll be what I'm looking forward to. I'm probably more excited for that than I am to see Justin Herbert play in week 1. I want to see just destruction up front on defense.
Right. Yes. This kid that they got from Tennessee, he played good. He had 2 plays he blew up in the backfield. Just what we see on film. T.A. Tart, big defensive tackle. He was flying around. Him and even Poona Ford made a couple of good stops. Them 2 guys up the middle on running plays, the run game couldn't budge with those 2 guys there. And if that's a sign of what's to come, man, I'm excited, because you need that in order for those edge guys and those linebackers to run around free and make tackles.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Be excited for when we see that waiver claim next week, that a week and a half, that Tyler Huntley's coming over. Can't wait. But and other than that, man, no, just another week. Stacey, you and I will keep chatting, and when we see something pop up that might necessitate us hopping on a call, we'll be here.
Yes.
But until then, we'll get ready for this next preseason game, our final round of evaluation, and then, man, can't wait for the regular season. It's almost here.
Yes. Well, we'll be back here Thursday as we preview the final game of the 2024 preseason as the Chargers travel to AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas to take on the Cowboys. So we thank you. We thank everyone for tuning in. And don't forget to go to stormcloud.blog to check out more content covering the Chargers, as well as great topics from other bloggers that's on that site as well. We thank you, the viewer, for always tuning in, engaging with us in the chat room with your comments and questions. We great with you, but we're nothing without you. If you've joined us for the first time, like the content here, and want to support our community, please don't forget to follow us by clicking on the subscribe button. It is not a paid subscription. It is free. You can also follow and listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to share this podcast with someone who may not have tuned into us yet. And I can't say enough about how much we appreciate you as well as your support. And until then, be safe, be well, be good. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, bolt up. See you soon, Kyle.
Right on, guys. Have a great one. Great seeing you again, Stacy.
Likewise.